real quickly, imagine that you're doing a recount of the Falcons game. Lead us up into to what happened with the sedition caucus.
All right, cool. So the pregame was essentially that the Raffensperger tape came out, and it became very clear that Raffensperger wasn't going to deliver those votes for Trump like Trump requested. So Trump is now getting really desperate, nervous, and he's outwardly now. First of all, he's asking Mike Pence, and then he does it on Twitter, asking Mike Pence to, on January 6th, when the Senate and when the joint session of Congress is supposed to meet to certify Biden's electoral college victory, is asking Mike Pence to not do it, to basically give a different count or say that no, Trump was the winner instead. Mike Pence was then sued by Louis Gohmert and a bunch of House Republicans to give him the power to do that. You sue someone to give them the power. I actually don't understand how that works, but he was sued to do that. And then Mike Pence wrote to the judge to not allow that. And then Mike Pence wrote a letter right before the joint session of Congress was supposed to start, saying it's like a long letter, but basically it boils down to, I don't believe it's constitutionally sound for me to overturn the will of the people. That it's not supposed to be Congress's job to pick the people that run the government. It's supposed to be the people's job.
The Law and Order vice president was talking about law and order.
Yeah. So
essentially what's happening.
So while the joint session of Congress started, right? Mike Pence did this little speechify thing. I think he feels like he's John Wayne or something. He always does like this thing, let's get back to work or whatever. So he was doing this little speechifying. There was a split screen moment where on the other side, Donald Trump was talking in front of the White House to a rabid pack of fans, all wearing MAGA hats, all flying Trump flags, for the Stop the Steal rally. And he was telling them that we're not going to concede. We're going to fight this. We have to be forceful with it. Saying the previous night he had said that I hope Pence will show some courage. I hope he'll do the right thing. I might not like him if he doesn't. So he was saying all these things, right? And saying that we have to use force. And then Rudy Giuliani was like, we should have a trial by combat. So it's just a lot of stupid things being said. And then
his ass never got in a fight.
And then Trump said, you guys should go to the Capitol. I will be there with you. Obviously, he wasn't. Obviously, he went home because he's a coward as usual. So
if them storming the Capitol, though, which of course you're going to go into a little bit more detail, I wonder if that was them actually searching for Trump.
Searching for Trump? So
he said he was going to be here.
He said he was going to be here. Where's Aerosmith? So so they go outside the Capitol. So as this is going on, you now have your floor speeches going on, right? The first 6 speeches, 3 from the Democrats, 3 from the no, sorry. You had your first 2 states going on. So you had Alabama, right? And you have I think the first one was actually Klobuchar. She read it and she said, blah blah blah. It seems by the count, Donald Trump won the 9 votes from Alabama for president. Michael R. Pence won 9 votes for vice president from Alabama. So then they put the counts. And then the next thing is Alaska. 3 votes Pence, 3 votes Trump. So this is 12-0. Then the next one is Arizona, and then as they're about to read it, Paul Gosar from Arizona, congressman, is like, I object. Blah blah blah. I don't think the yada yada yada. Mike Pence is like, do you have a senator to sign on? And then Ted Cruz stands up. I sign on with him. Or some stupid crap. So then they're like, all right, I guess we're going to debate it. So the House goes and moves into the House chambers. The Senate goes into the Senate chambers, and then they start doing the debates on it. And the first 3 senators, the first 6 senators were 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats, including McConnell and including Schumer. And McConnell was like, this is stupid. This is crazy. Why are we doing this? And then it comes to Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is now talking about, there's 39% of the people out there that don't think this election was fair. I think we owe it to them to investigate this. I think we should have a 10-day commission and all that stuff. And I was livid watching it. I was like, dude, you told them it was rigged. That's why they don't believe it. And it was at that time, I believe it was while Ted Cruz was speaking, that they started evacuating Mike Pence and them because news had come in that people had breached the Capitol. And then, that's where the whole thing started. So that's what got us to where we are. Before I go on, you want to throw in something?
Yeah, I just want to point out the fact that Ted Cruz is defending a man who, by the way, Ted Cruz is probably costing himself his political career, because there's going to be a high possibility that he's going to lose a re-election. A lot of people are going to lose re-elections, I think, because a lot of the general public is really like, yo, you guys did this bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, you guys caused this.
There are a lot of Republicans that are on that side of the aisle.
Yeah,
that are like,
and I'm just going to say, Ted Cruz, I've always thought he was a weasel, and I've never had respect for him. But I'm going to say he is, I use this word already, he's a cuck. Like, dude, this man insulted your wife, and you're going to bat for him.
Mm-hmm.
You're just as bad as Meghan McCain defending a guy who, who insulted her dead father.
Well, this guy also insulted his father. This
That's
guy
true.
also said that his father was involved in the assassination of JFK because he's Cuban or whatever. How racist is Donald Trump, by the way? Oh, you Cuban? So you assassinated JFK? Like, come on.
Well, let's also point out the fact that Ted Cruz is also Canadian.
Yeah, it's Cuban Canadian.
Yeah.
So
both of those countries are like, we don't claim him.
Right. So okay, Ted Cruz is a cuck. So that happened. People started storming the Capitol. I mean, I was watching in disbelief. I legit thought this would be like settled in like an hour or two. You know why? Because they were very quick to settle things during the summer. Whenever there were all these protests. Oh, you remember when there was a peaceful protest on the streets of DC, and then Trump wanted to get a photo up in front of a church, so he tear gassed the hell out of them and brought in military to push them out of the way so he can get there and hold the Bible upside down? Yeah, none of that. These people breached the Capitol.
Real quick, so I got two questions for you. One of you is being an immigrant. The other one is you being a black man. Mm-hmm. So the first one I'm asking is about the immigrant. As an immigrant, going back to the votes, the how what's your reaction to the fact that can happen? Like, the counts have already been counted, but there's people who can literally say, and these are representatives going in for themselves, who can say no. These votes don't count, or there's something wrong here, but you're literally denying people's votes.
Yeah, it's like crazy to me that that's even a possibility. I am just really happy that it was an overwhelming defeat of that objection. But just imagine if the Republicans decided altogether that they're like, nah, we're all going to oppose this, right? Because at the time there were 49 Republican senators in there and 48 Democrats, right? Because Ossoff and Warnock have not been voted sworn in, and Purdue's term has ended.
As of the third, right?
As of the third, yeah. Lefler's term hadn't ended because she's serving an ongoing term. So there were 49 Republicans and 48 Democrats. If all 49 decided that we're going to oppose this, there you go. You've overturned an election. But actually, no, because the House would have to overturn it too, and there were more House Democrats. But still, the idea that that was even a possibility is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I knew the Electoral College was messed up. Honestly, it's taken me a long time to realize how really screwed up the Electoral College is. Because I honestly thought it was just the whole. It was I got the idea of, hey, yeah, there's like basically they're saying 1,000 people in one city should not be able to have more representation of 1,000 people in this big old area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they're saying, hey, that person in that big ass area isn't getting proper representation. I got that idea about the Electoral College, like, right? Basically, it was like to make sure that the since there's a lot of people living in the city, they can't outdo people who live in the rural, because those people do deserve some representation. But the way they've done, the way it, I didn't realize that. No, it doesn't. But basically, my vote doesn't really count.
Yeah, it's more of there's 100,000 people living here. We don't want them to outweigh the voice of 1,000 people living here. But then by doing that, what you're now doing is saying that the voice of one person living there counts the same as the voice of 100 people living
No,
here.
no, and that I get
Yeah.
that part. But I always, when I first heard of it, I thought it was, or at least the way my my school down here in Georgia. No, I'm not gonna talk to them because
Well, they're probably pro electoral college down here in Georgia. Most people that are Republican leaning or conservative leaning are pro electoral college, and it actually goes to a lot of what Tom Cotton was speaking about during his speech, which is the idea that no, sorry, it wasn't during his speech. It was during a letter he penned before all this, which is the idea that if we take this route of objecting to this vote now, all we're doing is advancing the cause of those people who want to abolish the electoral college. Yeah, and if we do that, he didn't say it in these words, but it was essentially what he was leading towards. If we do that, the Republicans would never win another presidential election. They literally would never win another one because the demographics are not in their favor.
yeah.
They can win is to turn a few states here and there. Biden won by 7 million votes, but he was literally like 40 something thousand votes away from not winning the election. Right? So the only way Republicans can win is because of the electoral college vote. And he was saying
no. And again, I got that part. Like I said, I just didn't realize how messed up the Electoral College is.
Yeah.
Until more recently. So my question in regards to you as a black man, your reaction to the lack of response from the police.
So I was seeing a lot of that on social media yesterday, and I was thinking about it, like how quick they would be to be like, oh, my life is threatened if it was a black person there. But to be honest, it wasn't until today that I was like really thinking about it that deeply, because yesterday I was just thinking about the fact that these people are storming Capitol Hill. We know each other quite a bit now, and people who've known me a while know that I'm like really into politics. Like I'm into it. Like there's a gravitas around it, right? There's almost like
if Zino could marry politics, he would.
Right. There's a lore, right? You know that certain people walked these halls, 8 years ago and all that. So there's like there are all these stories that like give it that grandeur. And I had the pleasure of actually going to Capitol Hill one time and actually taking a tour of it and seeing the inside of the rotunda and all those statues there, and hearing the stories about people that laid in state. And that's what I was thinking about when I was seeing these people walk in there and like desecrating it and flying the Confederate flag, and I was like, that's what was going through my mind. And I was just like, yeah, this is it. This is what it's come to. We've been saying it. I think you and I talked about it on the show about how it seems so strange that the people who seem to be taking it most seriously, that the stuff Trump says and all that stuff seems very authoritarian, seems like the banana republic type of stuff, are people that are either immigrants or children of immigrants. And it's because we come from places in which we've seen stuff like this happen, or we've heard of stories like this happening, right? But people here are always like, oh, it can never happen here, not in America.
And even then, so I'm definitely, as you can tell, I am into politics. I think with you, it's versus say me, I'm more of fascinated about politics, like the history of it, like fascinated with history, fascinated with like the certain aspects of it, like how it's all connected to present day. Like, that's why both you and I love Hamilton, right? Because they mixed in like music that we love, which is hip hop,
right?
Mixed it in with politics, and then like you learn a good history. Yeah, there's a little bit of creative liberties in there, right? But it was like you learn from there, and then I'm sure you're like me. That just caused you to maybe look more into Hamilton, look more into Thomas Jefferson. You know what I mean? Like made you read up on them a little bit more. I went to Goodwill, I saw a bunch of books on Thomas Jefferson, on Hamilton, and all that stuff. I bought the hell out of them. So there's a certain awness that I have in regards to politics. As far as them storming Capitol Hill, I think the problem is that for me, and I'm pretty sure there's quite a few leftists that feel this way. There's a bit of a, I want to say bitterness. I hope it's not anarchism. I really do. I really hope it's not anarchy, because anarchy to me reminds me so much. When I think of anarchy, I think of cynicism, and I'm not a cynical person. Like I might make cynical jokes. I'm sure you've heard me say some jokes that are just like
once or twice
cynical in private. I don't think any of them are. But I might say cynical jokes, but to me, but I'm literally joking. That my actual attitude on life isn't cynical, like, right? These were a bunch of people who are cynical, narcissistic, following a cult of personality, and fighting for a guy who will not fight for them. They really were. Now, some people want to deny that it's not a coup. No, this was a coup attempt. There was a reason why the Department of Defense denied the National Guard at first, because the National Guard, because he filled the Department of Defense with loyalists.
His people, yeah.
But I guess eventually the pressure was put in on Trump to eventually tell them to get the go-ahead to get the National Guard down there.
That is crazy to me. They didn't want to be seen as going against the president, so they didn't send the National Guard to go protect the seat of government.
The seat of government, and it's like, and like I said, it's just filled with narcissistic people who are following a cult of personality. Honestly, there's a reason why the vast majority of them were white, middle class, most likely, or maybe not even middle. No, we weren't middle class. Probably a lot of them lower class, probably lower educated people too.
Yeah, lower middle class, and
But you know what?
The highly uneducated.
Yeah, but you know what that brought back to me? It made me think full circle for the United States, because that's exactly how the American Revolution was fought. The American Revolution was started by elitists who got poor people who were never going to own slaves, people who were never going to own property. They even had black slaves fighting for them, right? That's basically what you got. You got out there. They were all fighting for one elitist, right? Because he refuses to acknowledge that he lost. And he really was trying to become the first person in America to ever overrun the country.
There's apparently it's breaking news that Trump finally conceded the election. As we're talking, big whoop, finally. But as you were saying that, I went to my phone because there was a quote that I wanted to say. This is from when they resumed last night, and Mitt Romney had this chance to speak after Josh Hawley, who's just like a empty space of a person. Mitt Romney said, "Now we gather due to a selfish man's injured pride," and that's all this is about. It was an ego thing. Like, I can't believe I lost. Nah, F that. We're gonna burn this whole thing down.
And I'm